Hello, friends. Thanks for tuning in. Really glad you could join us today. I have another interview to share with you here that I'm really excited about. I have a special guest today from the Tampa area in Florida. She recently competed in an NPC show, winning first place in Bikini Novice and first place in Bikini Open. Congratulations. This is so exciting. So we're going to talk about this today. She's also a licensed massage therapist. Talk a little bit about her experience as a therapist and what she's seeing out there. But we're going to talk about some other stuff too, which I'm really excited about because she has made uh, what she's doing with her fitness, her workout strategies, her nutrition, and another thing that I really get excited about. Those of you who know me, I love to talk about gut health. My guest is one of the few people I know out there who's really mindful of gut health. And we'll talk about all that. Plus, she also has a link to Parkinson's disease in her life, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the interview. So it's my pleasure to introduce my special guest, Jennifer Cease.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome, and thanks for joining me today. I'm so impressed with what you're doing. We've talked on the phone. We've exchanged a lot of communication, and I guess first and foremost, I want to congratulate you on this about a week and a half ago, this NPC show,
Yes.
the win.
Yeah, it was so unexpected. I worked hard. I just wanted a place at the show, and needless to say, I got first place, so it was a total surprise.
Yeah, major congratulations on that. I mean, that is serious commitment, serious dedication, and a great example. So you're doing such cool stuff. Tell us how. Like, I know you've been active. You said for quite a while. Like, you played sports in the past. And how did it come to you getting into doing these types of competitions?
Well, I've always been active, like I said, and I ran marathons back in my early 20s, about 10 years ago. I ran 3 marathons. I wish I knew then what I know now, because I would have been doing all that running and all that wear and tear on my body. And I was skinny fat. I mean, I looked okay, but I had zero muscle definition. I started lifting weights about 9 or 10 years ago, not very seriously, but just to kind of give myself a little bit of a confidence boost, get myself a little bit more defined. And then about a year and a half ago, I started working with my coach, Bryce Baum, here at a gym called MI40 in Tampa. And prior to this, I used to just go through the motions at the gym. I used to just lift weights, lift them up and down, like no intent whatsoever. And after beginning at MI40, I started learning more about really focusing on the contractions. It made a huge difference in my workouts. My workouts were so much more efficient once I started focusing on those contractions and like having that mind-muscle connection. I always thought I had that mind-muscle connection that everyone talks about, but until I actually went and learned from some professionals, it just didn't click until I started about a year and a half ago. And that's when, like I said, my workouts became more efficient. My body started transforming more muscle definition. So,
Well, it sounds like Bryce is a really good coach.
He's a great coach. Yeah, he's very knowledgeable for sure.
Well, next time I'm in Florida, I have a couple trips coming up. I'd love to meet you, and I'd like to meet him because I learn from everybody.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is so cool. So you did the show. You placed first. This is amazing. Can you give us like a little bit of idea about maybe some of your training and what you're doing in your training?
My training was pretty simple. I only did like 1 workout a day usually. And that's the other thing that MI40 taught me was not to overtrain. Like that's the big mistake a lot of people make is overtraining. A lot of girls that prep for these shows, they spend hours at the gym. They do an hour of cardio in the morning, an hour of cardio at night, and that just creates more inflammation within the body. So my training, I spent less time in the gym probably than most people think. Toward the end of prep, was only doing 24 minutes of high intensity interval training. That was my only cardio pretty much for the end. Like I wasn't doing an hour in the morning, an hour at night. I wasn't killing myself. I felt great up until, the show, until I stepped on stage, which a lot of girls are really struggling those last 3 weeks to push it and push it and push it. But like I said, that causes inflammation in the body, and a lot of people feel drained once they step on the stage. So my training was fairly simple. I actually wanted to do a show back in June, but my coach advised me to just hold off until this last weekend. And I'm so happy he did, because it was a breeze. Like I literally just walked on stage feeling great. So.
Well, yeah, we were talking on the phone last week, and you were saying that you walked on stage, like you owned it, you felt great. Is that different than you felt in the previous shows? Because this is your third show, right?
Correct. This was my third show. It was definitely a big difference. I mean, I was being coached by him prior for those other two shows, but within the last year, I've, gotten a lot of my health under control. I'm able to train more efficiently because I've learned that mind-muscle connection a lot better, more efficiently. And yeah, so.
Well, first of all, it's really great. I'm happy that you found him as a coach, because it sounds like he's really on top of his game as far as helping people to get to where they need to be. And then, of course, they have to be committed to doing it, and you are, so you did it.
Yeah.
You go out there, you own it, and you win. So I'm going to skip over something, and then we'll come back to it. But I want to talk about your nutrition.
Okay.
And gut health and inflammation. Because I know one of the things that I've been studying a lot, it's been real interesting. In fact, both of my clients this morning, I train a couple, we were training, and we have a manual muscle test we like to do. Well, I like to do. And it's real simple, and I won't really describe it here, other than to say that when we test the quad strength, let's say, on one side, we can tell usually if there's some kind of gut inflammation. And we have a methodology of doing that by placing a thumb just below the right bottom of the right rib, pushing in, and then when they lock and we can't break their quad because they have strength, but we know there's probably some type of a gut issue going on. So you and I have talked about this, and to me it's really exciting because you're one of the few people, in fact, you're the only person I know who's doing shows who is aware of inflammation and gut health. And you and I were talking last week, people who are out there and they look great, but they feel like crap on the inside.
Right.
You achieve this amazing physique and you feel great on the inside. So how did you do this?
I did this by just changing the way I eat. I eat whole foods now. I don't eat anything that's processed at all. I've pretty much cut alcohol out of my whole routine. I used to, in my 20s, I used to go out and drink, I'll admit it, but it's made a huge difference. I eat a lot of like chicken, just really good quality protein. I do a lot of chicken, lean beef, grass-fed lean beef especially is a must for sure. I do egg whites. I do some turkey breasts. And for like carbs, because a lot of people that compete, they're scared of carbs, which is a problem with a lot of girls too. I did a ton of carbs during my prep. I was doing a lot of sweet potato, rice, cream of rice, those kind of carbs, just healthy carbs. And then for healthy fat, I was doing a lot of coconut oil, avocados. What else was I doing? Like a lot of nut butters, almonds, that kind of thing. But the nut butters were nut butters that were from like Whole Foods. They're the ones that don't have all the added ingredients. It wasn't Jif. It was just literally ground up nuts with some sea salt, and that's it.
Wow.
You just really want to eliminate those processed foods, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so that will help to reduce inflammation.
Exactly. Yeah. People don't realize how much inflammation can be caused by all the junk that they put into processed food.
Right. And one thing I failed to tie together before when I was talking about the manual muscle testing in relation to gut health is that when we see that a gut is inflamed, let's say, well, we know that this robs us of our strength, right? So the more inflammation we have, the less strength we're going to have.
Oh
Have,
yeah.
have you found, like in your own workouts, what is the difference now between when you weren't eating this way? How are you feeling and your level of strength and all that?
I feel so much stronger. I have energy to get through my workouts. I look forward to my workouts. I don't dread them anymore. In the morning too, like my energy level is always super high. I feel great when I wake up. I wake up at 5 a.m. a lot of mornings, and my energy level just in general all day long is consistent. And training, I usually train in the morning and I would do my cardio in the afternoon. But so yeah, it affects the energy level for sure. A lot of my friends, they're reaching out to me for help now, and they eat a lot of processed food and they crash in the afternoon, and they're asking me for advice on how to sustain their energy levels. And I just try to tell them, clean eating is the way to go.
Absolutely. So I'm just because I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
Another thing we talked about on the phone last week that I have in my notes here is you do more than just the clean eating though, and eating whole foods. I mean, so you have a little bit going on with some, let's say, digestive enzymes, probiotics,
Mm-hmm.
and like besides just the food you're taking in, what else are you doing to try to? What did you do to reset your gut? And how long did it take? Could you measure out about how long it took to feel this way?
I mean, it's taken about a year and a half. A year and a half ago is when I started working with my coach, Bryce Baum. He's the one that really realized that my gut was a mess. I was a mess.
Okay.
There was a lot of inflammation in my midsection. And he put me on a protocol for my upper GI first, because he realized that's where it was all stemming from, was my upper GI. Once we got that under control, he put me on a good probiotic, digestive enzymes, that kind of stuff, to try to get my gut health to a healthy state. And then once my gut health was in a healthy state, we were able to push my workouts more, because when your gut health is not healthy, it's hard to really push the body and have the energy for good workouts, because if you're pushing the body too much, it's just going to cause more inflammation in your body and more gut health issues.
Yep.
Which is a big no-no. So until we got my gut health under control, we really didn't start pushing my workouts. So
Changing your diet,
yeah,
whole foods, get rid of the processed stuff,
exactly.
digestive enzymes, um, and probiotics. So basically, this helps to get a lot of those toxins out of it. Talk to us a little bit about toxins too, because you have some nice notes on that. I'd like to hear your take on the toxin situation.
Yeah. So basically, the things that also control inflammation in the body are like controlling your sleep, getting adequate sleep, controlling your stress levels, and eliminating toxins in your environment. So I learned this probably 2 or 3 years ago is when I started doing a little bit of this, just eliminating all the cleaning supplies they're just loaded with toxins. Lotions, like I used to be a big Bath and Body Works lotion person, and now I realize those are just full of chemicals that are just building up within my body, and toxins. And and also just like little things like that you don't think about: laundry detergent, dish soap, those kind of things. If you just start using those organic products that don't have as many chemicals in them, it helps a lot, because those toxins just build up in your body more and more. And as the toxins build up, the fat sticks to those toxins. And if you can't eliminate those toxins, if your gut health is unhealthy and you're not eliminating those toxins, your body's just hanging on to all those toxins.
Mhm.
And it's hard to, people have like struggles trying to lose that last little bit of weight because their body's just hanging on to those toxins and not eliminating them. So a couple of things that he also incorporated into my lifestyle was more vegetables. Like I used to eat vegetables, but not as much as I do now, but that helps to eliminate toxins a lot. I'm on Paleo Fiber, which is a fiber supplement. So that helps a lot to just eliminate everything out of the gut and just keep things moving.
And that's important. I mean, that's another, I'll just say it. Constipation is a big issue for a lot of people.
It is, yeah.
They need to go to the bathroom. And I do that with my clients. We talk about all the time because a lot of them are constipated, especially those with neurological disorders. I mean, that's classic to see constipation. But I'm glad you talked about the toxins in relation to fat too, because they do go together. They're like hand in hand. More toxins, more fat. Less toxins, less fat.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I could go talk about that for a while, but it's not about me. It's about you. So, I also wanted to talk about, let me go back here, gut health. So actually, the bottom line though, when we think about it, just kind of like to summarize the whole thing about nutrition, and even like the lotions, like you're saying, your skin is your largest organ on your body, right? So if you have lathered up with all this stuff and then those chemicals sit there and they're there every single day,
Oh yeah.
like I can only imagine that it must have some type of negative effect, probably, or eventually.
Yeah,
And,
I actually use coconut oil now as my lotion.
oh, great.
So.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. So when you take all that stuff and you look at what you're taking in your body, however it is applied, whether it's through your, diet or what you put on you, decreasing the amount of toxin or just getting rid of it is paramount, because then if you don't, you have inflammation. Inflammation makes you feel like crap.
Oh, yeah.
You're constipated, and then you also don't have strength. You don't have energy. I mean, we just know the inflammation robs us of our strength.
It does.
So, yeah, I'm so impressed with what you're doing, and I'm really glad that you're speaking on this today, because I think it's really, really important. Not only, well, for everybody, but for those of you who are competing for shows out there, take it a step further with the dietary stuff, because make sure you get your gut checked.
Definitely.
It's not a hard thing to check. Find a trainer who knows how, or a physical therapist, and do it, because they'll know in a heartbeat if you have any inflammation in the gut. And once you get rid of that, you're going to be so much stronger and feel better.
Right. I mean, there's people that do compete and they do the whole, like, if it fits your macros. And I agree with that, but I disagree with that, because a lot of people that follow those kind of diets, they're the ones that are going out and eating donuts, and they're like, oh, it fits my macros. Well, yeah, you might look great on the outside, like I told you before, but your insides are probably a mess. You probably don't have the energy that I have. And it makes a huge difference when you really just give your body those nutrients. That's the other thing, is that when you get rid of those toxins and get a really healthy gut, then your body actually absorbs all the nutrients from your food. That's a huge difference.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. It's huge.
Yeah, because it's not just digesting the food and just pushing it through, I mean, it's your body's actually being fed those nutrients when you eat, when you have a healthy gut.
Well, it's interesting because a friend of mine and I were talking recently, and he was saying, Carl, our society is not starving for calories, but our society is starving. Yet you look around and you see, unfortunately, you see 2 out of every 3 people, I think it is, are overweight, and then half of them are obese or something like that. Mm-hmm. Well, they're starving for the minerals, vitamins, and nutrients, right? So if you eat 1,000 calories, but it's not full of nutrients that your body needs, you're hungry an hour later, It's your body trying to tell you, feed me these nutrients and stuff like that, but your brain can't decipher what it is your body wants. So you just go eat the same crappy stuff again, and then you're hungry again, and pretty soon you've eaten way too many calories, not enough nutrients.
For sure.
And it's amazing what happens when you eat the nutrient dense food, because you get full so fast on smaller portions.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like my vegetables and everything else. Like I try to buy organic vegetables a lot of times too.
Yep.
Not only was I getting the nutrients from the food since I had the healthy gut, but I was also on a lot of supplements. He put me on, like a good multivitamin, fish oil, D3, vitamin C, taurine, magnesium. I mean, I was on a lot of supplements, and my body was definitely not deprived of any nutrients, that's for sure.
Well, that's good. Were you and I talking about tomatoes last week?
I'm trying to remember. I don't know.
Somebody I was talking with, this will resonate with you. I can't base this, so for anybody watching or listening, because the audio of this will eventually go on my iTunes podcast. So for any of you watching or listening, I can't say this is a fact, but this is what somebody told me last week. You would have to eat 12 tomatoes today to get the amount of nutrients that one tomato would have in 1950. Okay, no, maybe it's 5 tomatoes today. Maybe it's 8. The number was 12. I don't know if it's true, but one thing I do know that's true is that your average tomato travels 1,500 miles to get from garden to plate. And it's usually on a corporate conglomerate garden, a big farm. It's probably not local growing. And when you cut into it, it's not really red, and it doesn't even taste like a tomato.
Right.
So it's just an example of, yep, you can get the calories, but you're not getting nutrients because the soil they grew it in is all depleted and whatever. So that's why the organic stuff is so important, I think, too. And I know a lot of people think it's out of their price range, and maybe if they don't have access to a good farmer's market, then maybe it is. But it'd be nice. Well, the farmer's markets, at least up here, I mean, organic stuff is about 1/3 of the price at the market as it is in the grocery store.
Yeah.
So as long as you can get to the market, you can load up, and it's quite affordable, I would say, in my experience.
Definitely, yeah.
So let's move along. I want to talk about your experience as a licensed massage therapist.
Yeah.
And you've been doing this for 7 years, I think, right?
I have been, yep.
Great. So I'm around a lot of massage therapists in workshops that I teach when I travel, and I've learned a lot from them. In fact, last year I went to a school here, the Onondaga School for Massage Therapy. I think that's the name of it. I was seriously thinking about maybe doing this because it would add to my scope of practice, but there's so much you can do with massage. How have you approached your practice as an LMT? And I'm also curious, like, what are you seeing out there? What are common reasons people come in to see you?
Right. Well, I work in a gym environment, so a lot of my clients are active and they are working out regularly. So they come to me mainly for like sore muscles, aches and pains from working out, which is great. But then I also see the other extreme where people are unhealthy and not taking care of themselves, and they just don't feel well. So they feel like a massage will help them feel better, but when in fact, it's actually not really going to solve anything. Maybe for like that day, they'll feel better, but in the long run, it's more them losing weight. It's a lot of times too, like people that are a little bit overweight have low back issues because they don't have a strong core. So I work on some people like that, and a lot of them too are just starting out on their weight loss journey. So I try to encourage them as much as I can to just stick with it. It's going to help their low back, and I try to link the two so that people realize, like, oh, if I lose this weight, my body might feel better.
Right.
So I do work on some people like that. I used to work in a chiropractor office, and there were, the active people that came to the chiropractor to get adjusted, but then there were also the people that were overweight and had those aches and pains. And some of them, I mean, it just frustrated me because they realized what the problem was, but they weren't taking the steps to solve that problem. They weren't, initiating losing weight themselves. And it was more just like they were content. And it would just frustrate me as a massage therapist, because until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you're not going to help yourself. So I think it was a waste of my time in general. Like I love taking care of people. I love, helping people, but at the same time, it was frustrating for me.
Well, I can relate to that on many fronts, and just real brief. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired a few years ago. I was about maybe 7-8 years ago. I had some issues going on. I won't really dwell on any of that now, but bottom line is I was a lot heavier, clinically obese, and I had to change. And I knew that the magic pill, they just weren't out there, right?
Not at all.
It took a complete paradigm shift in how I look at things, how I approach things, and getting committed and doing things. It also took some education. Like I needed to know what to do, because I wanted to do things. My intentions were good, but I didn't know about the nutrition part like I thought I did. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to loop something in here that I didn't mention that I want to ask you about, but I want to ask you because I know you'll be able to bring some real good insights here. Is first of all, you have to get to a place where you're just ready. And you've got to commit and put all the pieces of the puzzle together. So maybe the chiropractor does the adjustment, Jennifer does the massage, Bryce does the training, or whatever it is. But then there's a nutrition factor. You have to have all the pieces of the puzzle, right? But it takes a mindset. It takes a mindset and a commitment to be able to do that, a commitment to the little things that make the big difference. And so my question for you is, with all that you've been doing and achieving, which is so impressive, what is your mindset, especially on the days when you don't feel like doing anything? Do you ever have days like that, like where you just don't want to work out?
Every now and then, but he did give me enough off days where I was able to kind of reset my body, reset my mindset. I didn't feel like I had to go to the gym every day. It didn't feel like a task to me because I was given those off days and time to kind of recover. On the days when I needed to go to the gym and just was not in the mood, I would watch YouTube motivational videos. I do a lot of quotes. Like I look up quotes a lot of times. My friends always make fun of me because they're like, oh, Jen's so sentimental and so into quotes. But just sometimes like I'll just Google quotes and I'll find one that is exactly what I need to hear that day. So that has helped me a lot. I've just always kind of been that way. So
yeah, well, actually, that's good then. That's good. I am that way now. I didn't used to be. But I think the other thing too is a lot of people get to a point in their lives, and I'm just curious. Like with me, as a trainer, I don't really do much weight loss anymore, mainly because I find that there seems to be a general lack of commitment.
Right.
They think I'm a magic pill. I am not a magic pill. I am your guide, and you do the work, and you'll realize results. But not that I'm not interested in helping those people, and if they're committed, I'm happy to. But I think some of them get stalled because they think they're too far gone. Do you ever find that people are like they just lost hope? Like I just can't possibly get there.
Yeah, I find that a lot with my friends. I've had a lot of people reach out to me lately, especially like within this past week, who have said they feel like they've just kind of lost themselves. And I've tried my best to encourage them to stick with their goals. The key is just to take one day at a time, really. People get overwhelmed, like people that especially are overweight and want to lose, 50 pounds. Some of those people, they go all in right away.
Yeah.
Not really the key.
Yeah, that can be overwhelming,
Those people, they end up burning themselves out and they just go back to what they were doing before. So the key is really just to take one day at a time, set little goals along the way.
Yeah.
So.
I like that. I think that's a great way to approach it, especially when there's something really, uh, and this is a matter of perspective and the person, but if something seems like a monumental thing to take on or a task,
Mhm.
you got to break it down.
I mean, that's how it was with me for prep. I look at my progress pictures and like at the time, like, you know, that's the thing too about weight loss and just a healthy lifestyle in general. If you're trying to transform your body, it's great to take those progress pictures.
Hmm.
Because when I look at myself in the mirror right now, I don't really see the difference. But when I compare pictures from, you know, a year and a half ago, before I started all this healthy lifestyle and correcting my gut health and everything else, when I compare the two pictures, I realize just how far I've come. And that's always motivating. Like I really encourage my friends that are trying to get in shape and lose weight to take those progress pictures.
It's a
And
big deal.
oh yeah, I mean, even like within like a 2 week span, my friends are like frustrated. They're like, well, the scale's not going down. That's the other thing that drives me crazy. I'm guilty of it at times.
Thank you. Say it for me.
I'm very guilty. I weigh myself almost every morning. My coach gets mad at me for it. My weight really, during prep, it didn't change that much.
Mm-hmm.
Like it would go down gradually. That's the thing too. Like I was doing it the healthy way. I was gradually decreasing my weight. But there were moments where I was like, why isn't my weight going down more? But then I realized when I would compare pictures, my body was transforming. My body composition, you know, my fat was turning into muscle, you know, and so that's
Exactly.
why.
Exactly. That's I know people get so frustrated with that. I have a body composition thing I use, and sometimes this doesn't happen real often, but on occasion, maybe a few months later, they've gained a pound and they're just freaking out, but their clothes fit better and different. They need to take them in. Well, their body composition just changed. Muscle weighs more than fat.
Yeah.
They gained like 4 pounds of muscle and they lost 3 pounds of fat, so or 5 pounds of fat, or however the math works out. They gained a pound, but they got rid of this fat. It's just so amazing,
Yeah.
you know. I have a couple pictures. Can I hold up a picture here of you before and after?
Sure. Go
You
ahead.
sent me today.
Actually, you have, but
Now, I don't know if you can see. So, I mean, obviously, in both pictures, you look great. But the picture on the left, that was a year ago.
correct.
Okay, so if we look, and you sent me this, we were looking at your abs. And basically, we're talking about gut inflammation, taking your gut health under control. You look at the picture on the right, and you said you didn't really train abs, you didn't do anything additional, you just changed your diet.
Exactly. It was all.
So I want everyone to take a good note here at left picture versus right. Yep, both look great. But look at on the right, you'll see what happens when we clean out our gut. Things change. So that's bravo to you for that. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So I'd like to segue into one more thing here.
Uh-huh.
And this has to do with your father. And first of all, I'm very sorry. I lost my father a year ago this month. It's very difficult, and I'm sorry about your loss 2 years ago.
About 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago.
And you had kind of an extended time where you actually saw your father suffering and fighting against Parkinson's disease, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
So, do you mind sharing with us a little bit about that experience? Because what I've done is I've talked with a lot of neurologists on my interview series. I've talked with many people with PD, and I have a lot more of each of those coming up to be uploaded. But I actually haven't ever spoken with anyone on camera about the effect PD had on their life. Like you don't have it, but your dad did.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just if you don't mind sharing a little bit about that and your connection to that whole experience with Parkinson's through your dad.
Right. So he was diagnosed. I'm now 32 years old. He was diagnosed when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
So I remember as a kid, when I was 6 years old, before he knew he had Parkinson's, his hand would have a tremor. And I remember I would always grab it to try to make it stop. Because, I mean, at that age, like, you know, I didn't know anything about Parkinson's. And even like, I mean, this was 20 plus years ago. No one really knew anything about Parkinson's. So that was my earliest memory of him having Parkinson's. So he went to the doctor shortly after, you know, he realized he had a problem, found out he had Parkinson's. He was on a bunch of medication, and luckily it did not progress very quickly at all.
Okay.
When I was in high school, you really couldn't tell that he had it. He, you know, maintained a pretty normal lifestyle. He was still kind of working, a little bit retired. And when he actually had to have open heart surgery.
Right.
Up at the Cleveland Clinic. And that's when things really started going downhill with his Parkinson's, because when Parkinson's patients go under anesthesia, they explain to us that a lot of times it messes with the brain chemistry. So he was in and out of the hospital a lot. Like, he was on the psych floor because he was hallucinating, and this happens, apparently it's common with Parkinson's patients. So that was really kind of the downfall of when his Parkinson's started getting worse and worse. This was about, I want to say, 7 years ago. So after that, he was in and out of physical rehab facilities because he had lost so much strength with just being in bed all day at the hospital after this heart surgery. Mm-hmm. So when he got out of the physical rehab facility, he started having to have around-the-clock care. His Parkinson's was pretty bad. Like, his balance started getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And it was just tough to watch because, you know, here's my dad, totally independent man, like, all his life, like, huge social life, like, he would go out all the time, and his independence was just slowly being taken away from him, like, to the point where he was, you know, embarrassed to go out in public sometimes. Like, he was actually looking at cards at Walgreens one day, and he walked out of the store, and a cop met him outside the store because someone inside the store had called the cops on him because they thought he was drunk, which, if you watch interviews of, like, Michael J. Fox, my dad had a lot of that movement. So it just kind of hit his ego hard. It got to the point toward the end where he couldn't even use the restroom by himself. The caregivers had to, you know, go in there and help him.
Right.
So it was tough. And of course he was stubborn, and he would not use his walker or his wheelchair. He was like, I'm fine, I'm not going to fall. And we're like, Dad, you just fell 5 minutes ago, because his balance was so bad toward the end. And it was a roller coaster. It was an up and down roller coaster. I, you know, have a history of emotional eating. So every time I would go to Ohio, I would go up to Ohio probably every 2 to 3 months. I was living down here in Tampa after college. And it was just tough to watch him progress. And that's kind of also why I went into, like, the past 2 years after he passed away, I started getting into the lifting and working out more, because I realized after he passed away that I had two options. I could either, you know, take care of myself and try to make good out of bad, or I could go down the dark path and, you know, start doing drugs, start emotionally eating and not taking care of myself, which a lot of people, I feel like, do after a parent passes away at the age of 30. Mm-hmm. So, and I just wanted to make my dad proud. So that's kind of why I got into just taking care of myself. My brother's always been very active as well. He's at the gym at 5 a.m. every morning. He has 4 kids. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, we both just kind of adopted this healthy lifestyle.
Well, I think that's a good lesson. I mean, as I've met a lot of people who they'll say things like there is opportunity in pain, let's say. So if you're going through something painfully, emotionally painful, there are options. A lot of times people don't see it that way. You know, I'll admit I had 3 weeks of emotional eating after my father passed away.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that those 10 pounds are there. It's like they never really went away. And I've been working very hard. Actually, you're one of the influences for me on this too. Um, because of what you've done, what you've achieved. It shows me yet again, you can do what you set your mind to. My son's another big inspiration. My daughter's another big inspiration as to their pain they've gone through in their lives in various ways and the choices they've made of creating progress and opportunity out of pain.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, it is not easy, let's say, but it really is a choice. It may
Definitely.
not be an easy choice. It may not be a natural choice. But just having that awareness, the mindfulness of, I love like making your dad proud. I think of that with my dad too with things, 'cause I know he'd be really happy about a lot of stuff that's going on right now. So it's like, okay, yeah, this is for you, Dad, or whatever. I'll be thinking that sometimes. So I really admire your approach to that and how you handled that.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, it's tough some days. I'll admit I'm on a roller coaster still.
Yeah.
Good days and bad days. So,
Well, the other thing too is there's another test I like to do. I did it this morning with my people. I call it the emotional test. And I'm not going to describe it here because if anyone watches this and I haven't tested you yet, it'll ruin the results. But bottom line is, emotions are connected to strength. Let's say negative emotions or negative thoughts combined with poor gut health, you are so robbed of strength.
yeah.
But if you can control your gut health, get your inflammation down, choose more optimal, or let's say more higher frequency positive thoughts, and which probably lead to more positive emotions, you gain strength. There's a connection, a very close connection between all of those. And I don't want to be weak, so I choose to be strong. And I know you are a prime example of that. I really admire everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing about that. Your father too, because I'm sure it's not easy. Um, but it's something that I think will resonate with a lot of people out there who watch.
Mhm.
Because it's only about 2% of the population is affected with Parkinson's. But just ask around or mention it, and almost everybody knows somebody with it.
That's true. That's
It's
very.
amazing. It's like it's not that popular of a disease, yet everybody knows somebody with it.
Hmm.
Almost everyone, or maybe they're related to somebody. And
Yeah.
I'm absolutely amazed by it. So,
It's such a tough disease, and my brother and my mom and I were actually, and my sister-in-law were there with my dad when he passed away. We ended up having to pull the plug. And it was a tough decision, but we knew that it was what he wanted. And sorry, I'm getting emotional.
well, it's okay.
It was what he wanted, and like his quality of life at that point just was not the same.
Yeah.
So it just gives all this peace that like now he's not struggling anymore. He's not in pain anymore,
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there in pain with a lot of different things. And then, that has an effect on you and the family and
Yeah.
people in their lives. And so, if I go back and tie in a little bit of what we talked about earlier with this, I talk about this in workshops. The research is out there. Get that gut health down, get it under control, get your inflammation down. There's a relationship between gut health and many different diseases. Parkinson's is one,
Mm-hmm.
cancers, all kinds of things, right?
Right.
There's a relationship between constipation and disease too. So it's just, it really, really just, you may feel good today if you eat a McDonald's burger last night,
Yeah.
but maybe you don't feel good. I know I would feel awful, but if you're used to it and that's what you do, you might feel good today, but what you wake up tomorrow and something's wrong, you get that notice from the doctor that you got a problem. Maybe it's a serious one. You got a cancer, you got something else. And not to pick on McDonald's, but I mean, there's plenty of stuff out there in the grocery stores and a lot of the food supply that is eventually it's going to catch up, and you're going to have a problem.
Oh yeah.
So if you change things now, it's not too late to change. We can always change. We can start right now. It's a choice that we have to make. And if you don't know what to do, you can reach out to somebody like Jennifer. You can get some education on it because she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. Everyone thinks it's so expensive to eat healthy, but really, I mean, I'm not going out to eat very often at all. I live a pretty low maintenance lifestyle. And my whole mindset is that you can either pay for it now or pay for it later. I love that quote because it's true. Like, I mean, you can either eat healthy now and, just go out and buy that organic vegetable, or you can pay for it later when you have all these health issues in your 50s and 60s and you can't be there for your grandchildren, So I'd rather take care of myself now and just feel great. And I feel like I have a spring in my step the past, year since I've really gotten my gut under control.
You're going to feel better. And, I'm so glad you said that too, because that's really, boils down to that. We look at the co-pays for a lot of the drugs out there. That's going to cost a hell of a lot more than eating something organic right now, especially if you have a farmer's market, go. Just make sure it's organic, because a lot of them have little labels on them, and so they're really not organic. But go to, instead of the resellers, just go to the organic tables, and it's a lot cheaper there than it is at your local grocery store, probably, right?
Right.
So, well, good. So I have one more question to ask, and I'm sorry, it's not fair, because I didn't say I was going to ask it. And I know you got this one. As we wrap things up, if you were to have one takeaway message you want people to be thinking about after this interview, what is the takeaway message?
To just believe in yourself, and if you're going through a hard time, realize that it will pass, and just keep working toward your goals one day at a time, really. I mean, dream big.
Oh, I like that one too.
Yeah.
No more small thinking in my world. Those days are done.
I mean, it's all about having a positive mindset. Like I said, I've been watching a lot of YouTube motivational videos. I mean, if you go to YouTube and type in motivational videos, there's hundreds of thousands that come up.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot of that. Just like while I'm getting ready in the morning, I'll have that on in the background. And it helps a lot with my mindset.
Well, I love it. That's a great takeaway message. So I've really enjoyed this, Jennifer. Thanks. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Oh, no problem. No problem. So keep up the great work. I know you will. You have more shows coming up. You're going to win. It's going to be awesome to watch what happens in your future.
Thank you.
And so thanks so much for joining me. And thank you, everyone who's watching and listening, too. We really appreciate you tuning in. It's all about trying to reach out with a message of helping people, trying to help people to maybe just change one thing you learned. If you learn one thing from this that you can apply in your life, if that makes a difference, then it's all worthwhile. And if we only help one person, that's worthwhile, too. But hopefully we help more, because a lot of us need some kind of motivation. And so that's what we're here to try to do. And that's why I follow Jennifer and what she's doing, and I'm so glad she could share with us, because she motivates me, and I'm sure a lot of you are motivated by her too. So thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.